Hello and welcome to the Gen Z Faith Summit. I'm Matt and this is
Emily.
and we are joined by Jackie Velasquez today. Hi, Jackie.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
Good intro. Good intro. We've talked a lot about being country already before the camera rolled here.
Yeah.
But Jackie is primarily a recording artist. She won her first national award at 16. She's got 16 number one chart toppers. She's been in commercials for Pepsi and Target and 5 faith-based films. And she's just performed all over the world on stages just everywhere. So she's the mother of 2 little boys, 8 and 6. Is that right? 10. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Zealand and Soren, named after the philosopher and author Soren Kierkegaard.
Yeah.
Great. So she's a wonderful guest. We're excited to have her. We've been having fun already, and we're going to kick it off here.
Yeah. So, Jackie, we want to ask you, what is the role of faith in parenting Gen Z?
Well, I think in this day and age, more than ever, we need to have faith and truly have some sort of. We need a foundation in the world that we're living in, with so many different school shootings happening and all this craziness and insanity. More than ever, I believe that faith is the key. Having faith and trusting that God is in control, even when we don't understand why or how things are happening. And for me personally, I was raised a Christian. I mean, I was raised in a Christian home, and I got saved when I was 9 years old. But I would say that my faith didn't really become my own until I was about 18. And I say that not because I wasn't a believer, but it was kind of relying so much on my parents' prayers and my parents' kind of belief system instead of like making that relationship my own. So I guess you could say I've been a Christian. If you can be born a Christian, I have been, but I think that faith in this day and age, I see it changing a lot. I see so much revival going on in so many different churches, but then I also see how so many people are not willing to make that jump, and it's a very different dynamic, I think. But I think in this day and age, when it comes to parenting the Gen Z kids, it's imperative to just have a foundation, a firm foundation, and impart that faith and guide them.
Yeah, I like that you say you see sort of a change. Are you thinking that it's a bit of a polarization where people are more clear whether or not they're actually part of the church? Like this sort of nominal Christianity is disappearing in a way?
Well, it's people are either all the way over here, it feels like, and then I see a lot of millennials that are just unchurched. So it's going 2 different directions. And the millennials, that's what, when does that start? Do you guys know? Is it from what age to what age are you considered a millennial? I forget.
Yeah, so I think if you were born in kind of like the early 90s to the early 2000s is kind of the range.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, those people are parenting. And so a lot of them are either it's a huge revival going on over here, or it's this, no, we're not going to be a part of that. This is what we're doing. And
Gotcha.
It just feels like it's, it feels like we have to make a change and do something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So instead of everybody growing up in church and going on Sunday morning with their grandmother,
right
now it's different. They're just not growing up in the church anymore.
No. And it's just not happening like it should be. And like we need it more than ever. When you read the news and you watch the news, how much we need faith and how much we need God to guide us and to have that hope and that peace, because it's just too crazy nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you've got a lot going on in your life, with your family. You've got a clothing line that is it's kind of emerging right now. Is that right?
Yes. It's
okay.
N plus J equals Z, and it's a dress. And the way that I guess the reason I want to do this, of course, I'm a girl, so I love clothes, I love fashion, I love all things pretty, but I wanted to do something that would be helpful for women, especially moms and stuff. It's a cute, fun dress that you can dress up, you can dress down. It has pockets on both sides, and it has a hidden zipper on the front, so it can be V-neck or circle neck. So I just thought it would be fun. So the dress is called the Foster dress because my oldest son, who is on the spectrum for autism, his favorite song is a song by the band Foster the People. And the dress line is actually, the proceeds go to benefit Autism of Tennessee to help other families kind of guide them and find different, avenues of help if they find that their children are autistic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with all that going on, with the music career, the acting, the family, the business, is it easy for somebody like you to have faith, or is it harder? Like, does that thought and the trust of it get pushed out by the busyness of the day? Mm-hmm. Help us understand your world just a bit, because I imagine every parent who's watching this sees their life as just equally as chaotic, and they've got 100 things going on too, mm-hmm. right? Everybody does.
It sure does feel that way. I mean, it feels like the whole world is just running on an empty because we're going so fast and so hard. I do these things like, I'm the mom and I do these other things, but I'm also on the board at my kid's school. I'm also a room parent for my oldest son's class, and I'm a music chair at the school as well. So, and I do that because it's important for me to be involved in what they're doing at school. I just feel like that's really valuable. But I guess, my new record, not new record, but my record, Trust, I wrote a song called Rest. And that song came from the fact that I was going through, it was an extremely busy day. I took the kids to school, had a meeting, and then I had to go and pick up snacks for a party at the kids' school, grabbed the snacks, took it to the thing, went to the party, had to set up all the volunteers, and then I had to come home, get on a conference call and talk through this film that I'm working on and meet the director through Skype, and then had to get food on the table. And mind you, at this point, I hadn't even eaten yet. I'd forgotten to eat a whole day. Mm-hmm. I lay down in bed, crash out, and then get up and go, oh wait, I gotta make nachos. So of course I run to the kitchen at 11 p.m. and I'm eating nachos, real fast. And I realized that day that I hadn't even had a conversation with the Lord. I mean, he hadn't even entered my mind after that whole day. Because I spent the whole day thinking of everything I needed to do and thinking of everybody else, that I neglected him. So the song Rest is actually about taking the time to rest in who he is, finding that peace in him, and just shutting the world off for a minute, because it is very easy to let the world chew you up and just forget why you do what you do, or forget what you love, because you're so busy doing all the stuff that you're supposed to do. And instead of doing the things that matter in the end.
Yeah.
So it's taking the rest.
Okay. So as you're a mom and you had this big booming career, how do you rest? What would you say to a parent who has all this going on, and how do you model rest for your kids? And how do you model faith and trust that it's all going to be okay in the midst of all this chaos going around you?
Okay. Well, of course we do, little times where we have our emotional times, and we all sit and talk. We talk about Jesus, and then when they go to Sunday school, it's so funny. They just started changing the way that they answer me when I say, so what did you learn about in Sunday school today? And they go, oh, we learned about Jesus. I'm like, okay, elaborate, right? So we spend our time talking about our devotional time, but then we also, now don't judge me and don't jump to any conclusions when I say this, but it's something that I developed. I was having a really hard day, and it was just feeling once again chaotic. And kids came home, and I said, guys, it's official. It is No Pants Friday. And they go, what? I go, yeah, No Pants Friday. Because if you guys take your pants off and dad takes his pants off and mommy puts little shorts on, nobody can come over. We can't go anywhere, and we're all together. Yeah. So they go, woo! Little. So they're so excited that they get to run around in their underwear all for the rest of the day. And of course my husband was too. But we took that time for us, it's now a tradition. My kids absolutely love the tradition of No Pants Friday. In fact, this morning my kids woke up and they said, so if today's Friday, that means No Pants Friday? And I said, yes, No Pants Friday. Well, so No Pants Friday means we're all together. Nobody can go anywhere. Nobody can come over. And we pick a movie, a family movie, and we get pizza, and the kids can stay as late as they want. And then we take the cushion off of our sofa, and we have a long hallway down our house, and we take it and we slide, and we try to compete against who can go the furthest down the hallway sliding on the cushion.
That's awesome. That sounds fun.
That's an awesome way to make some space for your family.
Yeah,
it's great.
So many times we're so busy doing stuff for our family that we're not actually hanging out or being with our family. I can't tell you how many times I've felt guilt that I'm so busy doing something for them when all they want me to do is sit down and play with them on their level. And then, there's also a balance, because I can spend so much time with my kids that I could neglect my husband and what he needs from me. And I think the most important and valuable thing you can teach your children is teach them how to be loved, what to expect when you are looking for your mate, what to expect. How did mommy and daddy love each other? Because that's how they're going to love when they grow up. And probably the most valuable thing I could ever do for them is love their daddy and love them. And it's hard sometimes because you're like, no, but that's my baby. And Nick's like, no. I'm your man. They're going to grow up and lead, not me though. So it's a balancing act for sure.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of interviews with parents and to ask them for parenting advice. I think the number one answer we get always is like, you have to take care of the marriage, and you have to model what you're trying to teach your kids with your spouse and in your life. So it's great to hear it confirmed here. I mean, it seems like this universal idea over and over again.
It is. It's absolutely, it's the truth, because they're going to love how they see it. And the only way, and we are the model for that. We're the role model for that. And I think probably the thing that my husband and I have this rule that that if he is, reprimanding the kids or something, I can never say that in front of them. I can't say that I don't agree with it. Now later on, when we're alone, I can say something, but in front of them, we are a team. It's us against them or them against us, but never any other way. I think that's really helpful to keep that unity in their eyes.
So as you're trying to manage the family here and keep the love there, I imagine a lot of parents fall into the trap of doing all of those things for their spouse or for their kids, and then forgetting about God and forgetting about that relationship. Have you ever seen that happen? I mean, you mentioned the one time you forgot about everything, basically, even eating, and made some nachos. But is that a common struggle for you? Do you think it's a common
Yes.
struggle for anybody or everybody?
Common struggle. I can't speak for everybody else in the world.
Right.
I have some girlfriends that, uh, you know, about that. They go, I know, man, it's hard to, and that's the thing. That's like our relationship with God should be the number one thing that we're always nurturing, but we let life get in the way often. And so I mentioned that one. It happens quite often, and I really have to make like a, what's it called, like I have to be intentional. So I have to put it in my eye to just be and love and talk to God and just try to be intimate with Him. And sometimes it takes putting it in your iCal, because if you look at my iCal, it goes from one event to the next event to the next event.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's not just me. That's just anybody who, even if stay-at-home moms, I think they work harder and are busier than anybody could ever imagine. So it can't be just me. So I feel like it's something that we just really have to be intentional with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And let's flip the picture for a little bit. So I do a lot of traveling on the road, and I talk to a lot of students who say, I don't feel like I can trust anybody because I can't trust my family, I can't trust my friends because I've been burned in the past. What would you say to a parent who wants to gain trust from their teen but is having a really hard time? Like, how would they approach that situation?
I think you have to use the words, tell me anything, don't lie to me, and I will not judge you, and I will not say anything in return. I will not try and guide you or tell you what you should be doing. Because, sometimes, not guide you, that's not the right word, but I won't try and fix it, even though we as parents want to fix it so badly. Because that's how you build trust. When somebody feels like they can tell you anything. Because you're not going to say, well, why would you do that? How in the world? What were you thinking? Then people start closing up.
Yeah.
We have a rule in our house. This is my only and biggest rule. Tell me the truth. If you tell me the truth, I will not be mad. I will forgive anything. It's totally cool. But if you lie, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the trouble begins. The truth. I believe the truth truly sets you free. That stemmed from what my mom taught me.
Yeah.
She always told me, she would talk about certain people, and she goes, "Oh, never be like those people. They lie. They lie." And so that really stuck with me. And I sometimes am truthful to a fault. And I told my mother-in-law, who lives in Franklin. I said, "Mom, don't ask me a question that you don't want to know the answer to, because I will tell you the truth." And so that's kind of my rule in our house, even with the kids. The kids know, "Mom, I have to tell you the truth." And I go, "Well, what, bud?" He goes, "This girl fell at recess and I laughed at her." And I said, "Oh man, I appreciate that you told me the truth, and I'm not mad at you. But the next time, maybe you shouldn't do that, because it could hurt her feelings." And they go, "Yeah, you're right, Mom. But it's good I told you the truth, though, right?" And I go, "Yes, I'm so proud of you." So trying to instill that thing where if you can get trust back if you allow somebody to be who they are and say everything, and they don't feel the judgment coming back at them. that's kind of where we're leading our kids.
Yeah, so kind of like expressing to the teen or your kid, like, I'm your number one fan. At the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter what you do, like, I'm still going to support you. And it all comes from that relationship aspect, a whole bunch. And so for parents who may not have the strongest relationship with their child or teen, how do you approach that? Like, how would you tell them, like, this is how you can build that strong relationship? What are some practicals you would advise them to do or take those steps?
Oof. I think that it really truly comes down to prayer. And we know the God who moves mountains, and he could definitely turn hearts. Um, we have some friends who have a teenage son. He's about 18, 19 years old. And he has really gone through some rough things. I mean, pretty rough. And his parents all this time were, instead of parenting, they were trying to be friends with him. And it doesn't work. My husband always tells the boys, I'm not your friend, I'm your father, I'm your dad. So I think in those situations where parents have a teenager who is not interested in being with them, hanging out with them, talking to them, don't have trust in them, I think it's going back to that, what we were talking about earlier, which was having that conversation with them of, hey, look, I just want to know you, and I don't care if I'm not going to like it, because I love you, and I'm not going to judge you, and I don't mind. I just want to know you, and that's a hard one. It is hard. I guess I hope that I believe that prayer can move mountains. So that's really where I'd go with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. So can you tell us a bit about your older son and any sort of unique parenting challenges you've had with him? I mean, you're a big advocate for the autism awareness. So can we talk about that for a bit?
Sure. Zealand is my oldest son, and he was born November 3rd, 2007. And when he was born like 10 fingers, 10 toes, the most perfect feet. Like they were like, when I saw his feet for the first time, I looked at him and I was like, oh my goodness, they're like the miniature version of my husband's feet. I never thought man's feet could be so cute and adorable. But for the first time, they were. So he was just the easiest and most incredible little child. As a baby, easy. Oh man, I could have had 10 of him. And thank God he was born first, because had Soren been first, he would have been an only child, because he was not easy. But Zealand was easy. When Zealand was about 19 months old, we started noticing he wasn't like meeting the milestones that other kids his age should be. So in life, I typically like to bury my head in the sand. So I chose not to on this one. So my husband and I we got Tennessee to help us out. So early intervention, and we started getting him into different therapies, speech therapy, occupational therapy, so many things that I'd never even heard of before. Well, he continued to, he's just Zealand, we just kept going. He's just a little slower. He's developing slower than the rest. And then the final diagnosis came for him when he was at the end of second grade. They said he's autistic. And I remember that really broke my heart. Although we had guessed it and we had kind of thought maybe that he was. I think that bit of hope, kind of hoping in the back of your head, but maybe he's not, maybe he's not. I think that just really broke my heart because that hope went away because I knew for a fact what the truth was. But I remember having to go like through a mourning period, kind of mourning the dreams I had for him, so that I could begin to dream new dreams for him. And those dreams have changed, but he continues to change and flourish in different ways. And the thing about Zealand is the way that he sees the world and life is so much more beautiful and innocent than you can imagine. Being a parent to a special needs child is hard. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of research. It's a lot of trying to understand what everyone is talking about because they're using these giant words that you've never heard of in your whole life. And all you can think, he is not paperwork. This is a human. This is not a tutorial, an instruction. He's a human. He's a little boy. So that's probably the biggest challenge for me is just trying to understand all of the, trying to understand what everybody's always talking about. And also how to be the biggest and best advocate for him. You know, that's the key. When you're raising a special needs kid, you have to fight for everything. Nobody is going to give it to you for free. Nobody's going to make it easy. You have to fight hard and big. And you have to be the squeaky wheel. You have to be the annoying mom. You have to be the person in there going, excuse me, in their face all of the time. Because they're not just worried, they're worried about all the kids. And you're worried about one. So you gotta make it happen. And you have to be sometimes the mom that everyone's talking bad about behind your back. But that's okay because you're fighting for your kid. And God only gives special children to special people. I believe fully in my heart of hearts, God saw something, a strength, courage that I never saw in myself. The fact that he would trust a special needs child to me. I mean, I've never been a real responsible person in my life, but I had to learn real quick, not just because I became a parent, but this other challenge for my Zealand, even more responsible. I think that's, I guess for me, the biggest compliment that I have in my life is that God saw something in me that he gave me Zealand. And I would say that to any parent who's got a special needs child, there is something in you that you can't even see, but he sees because he only gives the special ones to the most special people.
Did that change your relationship with God at all and the way you trust him and rely on him?
Big time. Because especially, I think, I don't even know how to put that in words, but it changed everything for me. When I would see my son struggling with something that came so easy to his little brother, who's 14 and a half months younger than him, it would break my heart. And actually, for a while, I was kind of mad at God because I was like, hey, I don't want him going through this. He shouldn't have to struggle. He's 4 years old. That doesn't seem fair or right. And it took time for me to finally understand. Logically, I know that God loves my children and my son more than I do. but sometimes as a mom, it's hard to really totally trust that. Totally and completely, because we want to control everything, but this is not in our control. There's a point where we have to let go and trust that God has everything under control. And we just have to pray. In fact, I was in the car yesterday driving, and I was just telling God, I'm lost sometimes. I just don't know what the next step is for Zealand. And I mean, for Soren, I don't know how can I get through to him? He's going to be at some point, he's going to be, in the next grade level, and the next tier of what school is. How are the kids going to treat him? All these things that you just get so scared of. But I was reminded once again in the car that just could feel this peace in me that said, do you trust me? And I'm going, yes, I trust you. I'm scared, but I trust you. It's hard to fully let go, but you have to, because God loves your kids more than you do.
Yeah. Well, I love your vulnerability, and I love that you're just talking about your family. It just makes my heart so happy. And as we're on this victory lap, we're wrapping it up. What's one final piece of advice you have for parents of teens or kids who have special needs? What's just a piece of advice that you can leave us with?
Love big, love hard, and pray harder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the best thing. Honor God in all the choices you make, and know that you're going to mess up, and that's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Mm-hmm. Let go of the guilt. Also, just trust that God is in control, and trust that He has a plan, and we can't always see it. It doesn't unfold the way we think it should, but He has a plan, and He's in control if you let go and trust Him.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you just told us 3 or 4 stories there of how that's not easy, at all. And it's not even natural in a way.
Yeah.
But thanks so much for telling us those stories and talking about your family here a bit. If the people watching this want to dive deeper into just helping their family understand what it means to love one another and support one another and trust one another and trust God, especially with special needs scenarios, any resources you'd love to point them to or ideas you'd love to get across here?
The best thing is to get a lot of research, do a lot of research. Autism Speaks is a great organization to get involved with, to ask questions, to get some ideas for different therapies, to find out if your insurance will cover certain therapies. It's super interesting when you really dive into it. There's a lot of stuff that's available to families with special needs children, but they just don't know about it. Mm-hmm. So knowledge is power. Also, in your schools, fighting for therapies that maybe they don't offer but can be brought in, especially for your child. You can get those. Those are available too in different states, depending on your county, all of that. But knowledge is power. So Autism Speaks is a great organization to check out. Or there's also usually in each state, there's a Autism of Tennessee, and they have local communities within your state that can kind of help you and guide you and tell you different things that are available as well. And then also, there you go.
Well, thanks so much, Jackie. We really appreciate it. It's been great.
Thank you so much. God bless y'all. And keep fighting the good fight.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye.